Hello and welcome back to the 2019 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP. We're back for another race in the amazing 190E, and this time we're on a track that has certainly seen many Mercedes-Benz cars on it over the years. It's the legendary Nürburgring in Germany. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me once again, it's Chris Buxton.
Pleasure to be back for VGP, and of course alongside the lovely Justin. This is about halfway through this glorious DTM calendar that we have for you lovely viewers. This is how the standings currently look for VGP1. Smidl leading the way, not quite as dominating as he would like, but it's still a comfortable lead on 76 over Stefanko. Then Polesny in 3, Blazek 4, Sikora rounding out the top 5. So plenty of fighting going on there. There are the VGP2s. So again, Kovacic enjoying again a comfortable lead, but not insurmountable. Kujela has got a lot of company there from Prohaska, Korony and Pachada, and also Pavel Riegel, as that rounds out the top 5 for them. Here are the team standings. Acer are enjoying that lead, but that is not insurmountable whatsoever, so they're going to have to work hard to maintain that over the Logitech team. And then a really close battle between Benzina, Predator and RPS, and Forza not too far behind them. Smarty are in good contention as well.
So taking a look at the circuit, it is 5.1 kilometers, 16 corners, or 15 if you look at the correct map. At the Nürburgring in Germany, it is 23 degrees Celsius air temperature, 33 on the track. Last time out at Paul Ricard, driver of the day was Martin Stefanko in the VGP1 division, and in VGP2 it was the Logitech driver Simon Kovacic who picked up driver of the day as well. We have some penalties as well, some 10-place grid penalties actually to give out, and starting from last place, Michael Bušek in the Smarty car.
This is how the qualifying stands. Look how close the MSs are up front. 33 thousandths of a second separating the VGP1 legends. Polesny is right there with him. Blazek didn't set a time, got through to the all-important top 4 shootout, but didn't set a time within, so we'll start in 4th position as displayed. This is the bottom end of the table, so penalties shuffling that order somewhat, but each, the gap in between each car is relatively close. So Ragov Frabish, who incidentally, Jan Frabish, doesn't have a lot of time to practice for this, as he's got his final exams at university, so bear that one in mind. He's still doing very well and going through a lot of revising and what have you.
Yeah, that's quite a mountain to climb there. Those are two very difficult things to try to do well, especially in very close succession, but we are preparing to go racing now here from the Nürburgring in Germany. The lights are out, lots of wheel spin from these 190E DTM cars, and it looks like a good old start for Michael Schmidl. He is not going to be pressured by Stefanko, but the Legion and Acer cars going side by side for 3rd position on the run down towards that first corner, descending down the hill. A difficult braking zone, of course, and with these guys having the standing start, then the braking zone is going to be even harder to find.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, that's a Smarty car way off there, getting the braking zone all wrong. One of the Spurt cars getting collected as well too. That didn't look like racing, that looked more like bowling.
Oh my goodness me, it's Hernecki, I think. Oh no, it's Bušek in the Smarty car. I mean, it's like he just had complete brake failure. And that's going to need a lot of repainting when the day is done. But oh my goodness, what a complete disastrous start for Bušek. Then that's dropped him all the way down to the tail of the field. Everybody then just has to re-temper that adrenaline. These cars are particularly tricky. We've mentioned that before. They're very lightweight, but they have the power to weight ratio is pretty impressive. So coming through that really tight turn 1 is particularly troublesome for them. And now just got to settle themselves back down. They've got all that pent-up adrenaline ready to go, and the full course yellow is then forcing them down to this, what it will feel like absolutely crawling pace as they come through the Dunlop hairpin. up to the Schumacher S's. So now everybody just thinking about what they have to redo when the full course yellow drops. It looks like Bušek in somebody's car is back with the pack, so we'll see if anybody needs to come into the pits after that huge shunt. If they do, the full course yellow will remain until that pit stop is done and they've rejoined the track. So for the time being at least, everybody just got to keep weaving, keep the tyres warm, and everyone's on the hard tyres, so they're going to have to work that a little bit harder to keep them a bit warm, although 33 degrees track temperature is pretty warm, so they won't have to work impossibly difficult. There's Blazek in the Legion car staring at the back of Polesny, and that's a beautiful green Acer car. We may be a bit biased. We mention him every week because that is such a distinctive livery on that on the Acer car. But look at that! You've got several people just wanting to get on with it, sitting side by side with others. They're wanting to get on with it, but the full course yellow, as yet, just going to keep them. Oh, there it is. So no one's looking to come into the pits then. The full course yellow looking to drop. And this could drop at any moment. Doesn't matter whether you're halfway through a corner or in the middle of a braking zone. The full course yellow doesn't care. It will drop when it feels like it. So around the final turn come the leaders then. Everybody just keeping their eyes on the prize. And look again, side by sides going on. And away we go. We are racing again here at the Nürburgring. And there goes Stefanko looking to try and take the lead. As not often we say that sort of thing. And has he got him? Oh, not quite. He can't quite. Oh, my goodness, another problem there. I think that was Kovacic in the Logitech car going for a bit of an exploratory route. And still Smedel can't be overcome. But judging by the qualifying times, the MSs are going to be very, very close. The Thrustmaster pair very, very close as well, coming through the Mercedes arena, still side by side as they work their way through the twisty turns. Here comes Stefanko again in the Benzina car. He's had to think about it on the inside of turn 4 as they come out of the Mercedes arena and sits behind his arch championship nemesis as they stream on down to where they've just been crawling through. So now they've got to focus on what they've got to do. Everybody very, very close, as you would imagine at this stage, although Bušek in the Smarty car has fallen some way off the field. Oh, Secret making a 3 wide there, coming through turn 6. That's brave at the best of times. Whoops, looks like someone had a bit of an oversteer moment there. Lots of battling going on.
Yeah, lots of side-by-side moments, including the two Pichata brothers. The Thrustmaster car going up the inside there into that banked hairpin. And it looks like actually he's going to get the drive on the Smarty car coming out of the corner, but the Smarty car is going to have the inside line for the...
Oh, no!
And there's an Avast car off, and I believe that is Hurt Necky. I don't think that was Frabich. I believe that was Hurt Necky going for a bit of a spin coming out of that hairpin, but here we go. Some more side-by-side action as we head into the left-hander here, and the Thrustmaster going around the outside.
Oh, no!
A bit of a slide on. Oh, and some contact as well, too. That's it looks like everybody is facing the right direction, so they will keep going. Some more contact in the background there between the Thrustmaster and Spurt cars now as they come onto the kind of straight. There is that turn 12 that they're coming up to now as they turn in their 1,000 kilo cars. These are very, very light, nearly 400 horsepower per kilo, side by side into the chicane. The Thrustmaster car not quite having the brakes that he needs to, but he keeps the line actually, and through the second part of the chicane, I think he might get the Spurt car. Final corner, of course, is a right-hander, but here comes another car looking to make it 3 wide. But no, that's not quite going to work. That was the Forza car getting involved as well, too. Oh, he's just trying to sneak out. The Spurt car goes for a bit of a spin. That is Prohaska, I believe. Yes, it is. That's Thomas Prohaska in the VGP 1 division, having a bit of a battle with some of the VGP 2 drivers in the rundown towards turn 1. Now, is he going to try and go around the outside into turn 1? Can he be late enough onto the brakes? Actually, he's braking very early. It looks like nearly being collected by the Legion car, but it seems that everybody has missed their braking point, and Thomas Prohaska is going to gain a handful of positions through all of that. He's going to have to go around the outside. He's made some more contact, some more sideways moments. The Logitech car losing the back end. He's going to go around the outside once again is Thomas Prohaska, and I think this time he might do it with the inside line through this right-hander. He does indeed. What an incredible bit of driving there from Thomas Prohaska.
Oh, 17th to 13th, just through the Mercedes arena for Thomas Prohaska. Nicely done as he is then fighting off. I think, is that Jan Secret? No, it's Kazanik, sorry, in the Logitech car. He's having to fight off to maintain that 13th position. What a great drive. But yeah, but I thought he's broke way too early, but he obviously kind of knew something we didn't. There's so many people went barreling way too hot into turn 1, and he just capitalized on that brilliantly well. As in the background we saw, I think that was, so I identify which of the two cars are fighting there. I think it was Vanashek and Jelinek in their cars respectively, battling for 18th position, getting very side by side through the Dunlop curve, jumping towards the top of the field. Smiddle then beginning to stretch his legs as we're used to seeing him do. Over Stefanko, Polesny 3, Blasek 4, so they're kind of equidistant apart at the moment, but keeping the cars pointing in the right direction at least. We saw a lot of this last time at France, which had us both screaming with glee as it's, oh no, that's the Predator car in the background. That's Jelinek that's gone backwards into the dust. That's not going to help his move. Oh, Blasek, the defensive driving extraordinaire, driver extraordinaire I should say, is then now having a go at Polesny. Couldn't quite get it done into that final turn. Now slipstreaming down the start-finish straight. He wants to have a go at him on that all-important first turn, but Polesny not letting him have that inside line. Can Blasek string it around the outside, or is he going to try and cut back underneath the Acer car? He's going for the cut back underneath him. Liska and Kovacic doing the exact same thing right behind him. That's the VGP2 lead, side by side. Woohoo! That is close. The Benzina car of Liska getting very, very sideways as they then come back down the hill towards the exit of the Mercedes arena, and that is Kovacic that's hung on to that position. Brilliantly done for the VGP2 lead, and look at Blasek nearly pushing Polesny through. So come on, get on with it, but that's caused the Legion car to have to get out of it a little bit and giving Polesny a bit of breathing space right behind them. Kovacic and Liska still having their battle. Wow, once again, it's going off everywhere.
Incredible stuff, and here's that replay of this. As I said, it was more bowling than it was motorsport, really. That was absolutely incredible. The Forza car nearly getting stuck to the back of the Logitech car there. So yeah, just having a quick look at that replay, and yeah, very, very surprising about that one. But we are on board with Klebets, who started way down outside the top 10, has already found himself into 8th position and pressuring Pachada in the Thrustmaster car for 7th position. And that is 4th position in the VGP1 standings, of course. The two VGP2 drivers ahead of them, though, of Kovacic and Liska, they're in the middle of a battle as well, too, as are Polesny and Blasek, though. Blasek having to go offensive in this race, especially if he wants to get that podium position. I was going to say, it's going very well for Benzina. It's not going quite as well as when Liska was leading VGP2, but it is still looking very good with 2 cars in 2nd position at the moment, whereas with Predator, Jelinek is way down at the back, and Schmidl is leading the way, so bookending pretty much the entire field. Kazanik now in the Logitech car is going to make his way past Jan Frabish in the Avast car, so Logitech ahead of Avast on this particular occasion as they get down. Oh, is the Avast car going to come back at him into the chicane? It doesn't look like he can be late enough onto the brakes. It looks like Klebets, though, has or had made up the position on the Thrustmaster car ahead of him, but then couldn't quite hang it around the outside. Is he going to pick up the slipstream from the Benzina car now of Liska and try to close down on Pachada? They are going to be side by side into that first corner. Again, a downhill corner, so it's very difficult to get that braking right, as we've seen on multiple occasions already. But the Smarty car, much later on the brakes, actually gets the job done. Klebets moves up into 7th.
Yeah, as a reminder, these things don't have driver aids, so it is purely engine, driver, seat and steering wheel. That's pretty much all these things have. Maybe some pedals if they're lucky. Yeah, so all that's keeping these cars pointing in the right direction is the fleshy bit behind the wheel. So they are doing brilliantly well to hang on, and most of the time they're keeping them pointing in the right direction. We've seen a few people go off and build sandcastles, but at the moment they are doing pretty well, especially with the amount of door banging we've had going on. And we saw this last time out at Paul Ricard as well, where there was an incredible amount of contact, yet by and large not as many spins as you would expect. But this track probably is a little bit more familiar kind of inherently to our drivers. This one a bit more well-known on the circuits. There goes Klebets in the Smarty car on the inside of Liska on the Benzina car. So Klebets, that's not for class position. He's looking to try and get up to the top 5 where his next target is. And it could be that Liska didn't want to fight that too much. He's already lost a bit of time to Kovacic. Although, that's someone off into the dust. This seeker, it was Jan Frabish that's had a bit of a problem. A little bit of arguments going on, they look like there, between Frabish in the Avast car and Thomas Prohaska in the sport car. So maybe a few words there between those two. We didn't see the incident, but it didn't look like Frabish was particularly happy about it. Jan Sikora in the RPS car trying to get on the inside. Oh, that's close. on Kujela in the Forza car. Doesn't quite make the move come off. Kujela is perfectly entitled to defend that position. It's not for class position, but there's nothing in the rulebook to say he has to let him go. So Sikora doing what he can to try and get past the VGP2 driver to get more towards his own class. It looked like he was closing in again as they came into the NGK chicane. That's difficult to say for us English, at least. Back to Blanchek then as he continues to pressure Polesny and still can't get close enough to make the move. Half an hour still to go though. Plenty of time for our drivers to make their moves, but as seems to be always the way with these DTM cars, it is just, they take an opportunity whenever it's presented. That's not down to the cars, of course, but these things, because of kind of how they're driven, because it's all kind of raw driver ability. Whoops, this Blanchek wanders a little bit too wide in the exit of the Mercedes arena. Yeah, because it's all down to kind of driver, it's all down to the person behind the wheel as opposed to the car doing the work, so to speak. So you do tend to see a lot more of the kind of, the moves being made, the person making the difference as opposed to, sling it into the corner and let the ABS worry about it.
Yeah, it's been really incredible to watch so far. I mean, we're not even through the second race of the 190E, but already it's put on one heck of a show that nobody is going to forget anytime soon. It's just the car can take a little bit of a knock. These guys can make contact with each other, and it's not going to be terminal or anything like that. These are not that fragile, where you can actually rub a little bit of paint. We've seen quite a bit of that. But when they do make contact, they really let go. Again, the car weighs less than 1,000 kilos. It's a very, very lightweight car. So when these guys touch, the car is just gone. The back end steps out very, very quickly, and we've seen evidence of that in this race multiple times. The two Spurt cars are actually going in formation through the Schumacher S. They've got the Avast car just ahead of them of Jan Frabisch. So that's an interesting one. I wonder if we're going to see any further developments between Frabisch and Prohaska, but it looks like Korny actually wants to make the overtake on his teammate up the inside into the left-hander at turn 10 outside line as they come onto the straight. Around the outside goes Thomas Korny. That's a lovely overtake from the Spurt VGP2 driver on his own teammate. And of course, there are no team orders. There are no blue flags when it comes to VGP1, VGP2, that sort of thing. The VGP2 drivers do not need to let the VGP1 drivers through, and indeed they can make the overtake, and he's done it on his teammate. Lovely bit of driving there. I really enjoyed that one. The RPS car looking to make a move on the Forza car into the final quarter. The Spurt cars are side by side once again. And who's going to come out on top? I believe that's Korny that's coming out ahead. No, it's actually Thomas Prohaska who's gotten back ahead of his teammate, who is right behind him, less than a car length between the two of them. He's picking up a heck of a slipstream as they barrel down into the first corner. I think there's been some contact between the two of them, and there is the back end, and there goes his teammate as well, too, and that is not what you want to see. It's been a frustrating day for Thomas Prohaska. I think that much is certain, Chris.
I think so, and that's certainly going to be an incident that we'll have a few words said about it, I dare say, in their team debriefing. Another thing that's come to mind is that the VGP2 drivers, if anything, need to kind of prove themselves against the proven VGP1 veterans. Mm-hmm. So you're more likely to see the VGP2 guys kind of try to make the move, try and, stamp their authority. Here I am, promote me next time to the VGP1 spot, that kind of thing. There's every single opportunity as that is Prohaska, that's wandering a bit too wide, the Dunlop turn in the RPS car. So the VGP2 guys are using this opportunity to kind of stamp their authority, but really the sport cars should be working together, try and draft off of one another to try and help them catch up with the rest of the field. It's not particularly a draft-centric track. It's a little bit too twisty for that, but, nicely done,
lovely.
That was very nice. Yeah, you don't have very long straights to make a drafting tactic too worthwhile, but it's still enough. These cars are, they're fast enough to be damn good fun to drive, but they are slow enough to make a decent use of any kind of slipstream effort down the straights that this track has, as we see Hlebit's lovely move on the inside of the final turn. Oh, on the Logitech car. Oh, goodness me. Kovacic and Hlebit still having their own battle there. Oh, Hlebit's trying to slam the door, just about managing that. So that's Slebitz just joining the top group now as he's made his way through the field. Oh, he's braked very late. Very early, I beg your pardon. Kovacic has gone a little deep. But Slebitz, very nicely done. Parked that one exactly where he needed to defend against a VGP2. Oh, no, that's another issue down at turn 1 as Pritchard and Kostalik tangle with one another. Just about avoid the dust, but that's going to cost them a bit of time. So yeah, the drivers in the same team could, maybe take advantage of working with one another to try and make their way through the field, but well, you never know. Oh, well, that went that idea. It's Thomas is one of the sport cars. Obviously, we didn't see that incident happen unless the fighting in the sport cars has... oh, Kazanik as well. Oh dear, that has been a big incident then. So 2 drivers gone from the race. We haven't seen that kind of incident in this season at all.
No, and I think Kazanik was actually in the top 5 for VGP2, so that is an unfortunate loss of points for the Logitech team. And as I said earlier, there are no team orders or anything like that, but there is very much a team championship. So as much of these guys aren't going to say, hold the door open and say, after you, sir, at the same time, they really don't want to be taking each other out either. So yeah, really unfortunate what happened with Spurt there. I do think that Corny just got caught off guard by Thomas Prohaska's braking point, though, as they were coming into turn 1, because yeah, his front end just kind of got locked into the rear bumper of his teammate, and that put a bit of a slide on for him, and it sent his teammate off into the gravel as well, lost a number of seconds, and that's got to be really frustrating, especially again from a team standpoint as well too, because that's certainly not going to be beneficial. Having a look at Kujela though in the Forza car at the moment now, after the retirement from the Logitech car, he does find himself in 5th position in the VGP2 category. His teammate Kostulik, currently running 9th overall, is 7th in class for VGP1. So not Kostulik's best race. We have had higher and higher standards for him as he's continued to improve better and better as the seasons have progressed. And Kostulik really has come alive, as have a number of other drivers as well in recent seasons, and just really getting up to pace, up to speed with the top guys. Stefanko, it seems, just looking at the front gap, because we haven't looked at the front guys in a little while now, it really sort of slowly but steadily falling off the back of Schmidl. I got really optimistic, I'm not gonna lie, I got really optimistic when I saw him going for those overtakes on the opening lap, and after the full course yellow and all of that stuff, but it really seems that now that Schmidl has broken away, he's just putting in that 1 lap pace that just cannot be topped, and he's just slowly but surely building that gap down to his nearest rival, Martin Stefanko.
You and me both, especially when I saw that qualifying gap. I was like, oh, Schmidl's going to have some work to do. Nope, he's run off into the distance with an absolutely storming lap time, that 2:10.7 that he put on the board last time around. Oh, speaking of, there he is, just admiring the scenery. He's got himself, as near as damn it, 4 seconds back to Stefanko. This could be just a bit of a management phase, just minding their own business, not wanting to push too hard, but we know what these racing drivers are like. Schmidl is going to push like an absolute man-possessed, especially with that one result that didn't go his way at Macau, or he'll want to make up for that now. Now, will we see what happened to the sport car? Here's Prohaska, his teammate right with him. So what happens with Korony?
I think they're already touching there. Yeah, they are. Yeah. They're already touching at that point.
Yeah. That was the spin between the two. That's what sent them both off into the dust. So I think Korony got a little bit loose trying to brake on the rumble strip that led down to turn 1. He just lost that braking efficiency that sent both of them off into the dust. Here is Kazanik in the Logitech car down at the Dunlop turn. Oh, yeah, that was when Prohaska, I think it was, in the RPS car. Yeah, just went a little bit too deep, and an easy overtake for Kazanik in the Logitech car. Back up to Blazek, the closest battle we've got in that top 5. Although, keep an eye on Klebitz as well. He's made his way through the field, is now clear of the VGP2 lead of Kovacic. As the race progresses, he's got about 5 seconds to close into these two, but these are the two that are fighting in the top part of the field. Here is Frabish defending very hard against Prohaska in the remaining sport car for 15th overall. What is that? 9th, 10th in the VGP1 category. So fighting for every point that is available to him. It's always worth fighting for anything you can get, especially for the Teams Championship. Every point will matter with the sport. Oh, what a great drive for Prohaska. Can he string around the outside? No, he's going to try and cut. Oh, what a shame. He was going to try and cut back underneath Frabish. Got a big tank slapper on. The rear just did not want to grip it. Again, he's looking for an outside maneuver coming into turn 5. Can he get that one done? No, the Avaskar is hanging on to that one, keeping the sport car at bay. Now Prohaska's going to want to get the drive, but that was so close. That could have gone horribly wrong. As you mentioned earlier, Justin, these cars get unsettled very, very easily into the Dunlop curve. No, you saw Prohaska thought about that inside maneuver, and Frabish was having none of it. Closing that door very, very quickly, as that's compromises it a little bit. Oh, you're a brave man if you're going to go side by side with the Schumacher S's. It's not slow enough for that. Oops, don't hit that. The curbs are really high. So you heard actually Prohaska's rear wheels just spin up there as one of them lost traction through not being up in the air, but not having the entire contact surface down on the ground. So that would have caused the car to start to pitch over to the left. And you heard him, you had to get off the gas. And look at the amount of time it's cost him. It's only a couple of tenths, but bearing in mind he was nearly pushing Jan Frabish along, it's little things like that that will cost you in the long run.
Yeah, that's destroyed his ability to make any sort of overtake on this lap. I mean, he's still got just under 19 minutes plus 1 lap still to go at this race from the Nürburgring. However, that's one fewer opportunity than he would have had otherwise, so you're exactly right about that. But a great bit of battling. I just want to say a great bit of battling between them at the start of the lap. Very, very close, but very fair as well too. Thomas Prohaska again is going to lose a little bit of time relative to that Avaskar ahead of him as he dips a wheel into the grass coming out of that final corner. That just gives the Avaskar that little bit of an advantage. Looking back to the battle for third position, just reminding ourselves what's going on between Polesny and Blazek. Blazek still right behind. He's just been pressuring that Acer car the entire race. He's just had the Acer car has had the Legion car in his mirrors non-stop since the lights went out for this race. So it's been absolutely incredible watching these two. But Polesny doing an incredible job, especially defending from somebody who is so good at defending. You would expect Blazek to know all of the defensive tricks, but it seems that despite that knowledge, it's not quite enough for him to move past Polesny. Let's see if he's going to get him on this time, as we've just got 2 more corners before we get down to the straightest part, the highest speed part of this circuit, through the left-hander using all of the curbing and then some, and getting into the right-hander here. The Acer missing the apex ever so slightly. This is great opportunity for Michael Blazek. Actually, he's going to be picking up the slipstream here as they now accelerate to over 200 kilometers per hour through the high-speed right-hander, and the Legion car right behind him, about a car length between the two of them. Is Polesny going to feel the need to go defensive? He sort of stays to the middle of the track, telling Blazek, you know, you're going to have to go to the right there, but there's not much room if you do decide to go to the right. And Polesny does hold on to that position. You can see the flames spitting out of that 190. Oh, a big moment there for Jan Frabish on the run down towards the left-hander. That is on the run down towards turn 10. He must have lost the back end coming out of the Schumacher S and just only recovered it as they were coming up to the bridge there. So practically nothing. And he's off the track again. I mean, you probably could do a bit of rally racing in a 190E, but unfortunately the tires aren't really set up for that. But there goes Blazek finally up the inside. A bit of argy-bargy. That was a bit aggressive. But again, Blazek knows what it takes to make an overtake. Oh, but Polesny comes back at him. Incredible. The Legion car runs wide through the left-hander of turn 2 and just opens the door for the Acer car to come back through. He finally gets past, and then Polesny immediately sneaks back through. You can again just see how little traction they have. This is incredible racing.
Oh, that must be so frustrating for Blazek. He's been so long behind that green Acer car, and to finally get the move done, albeit needing to get his elbows out into turn 1 and then just wandered that little bit too wide into turn 2, and that just opened the door wide for Polesny. But look right behind, that's a smarty car that has been honing in on them for the last few laps, and because they've kind of done their dancing through the Mercedes arena, that's cost both of them probably a good 2 seconds, I'd say, on Hlebitz. He is going to be right in there. We've seen this through the season, that Hlebitz has got some incredible pace. Oh, the Acer car got a little wide coming through the Schumacher races. Does manage to keep it under control, though. I thought he might have been losing a bit more time than that on Blazek, but does manage to keep it. Now back into the Warsteiner curve, which is 10 and 11. Ooh, nice and gently. This car is very much about patience at a track like this. You can't just nail the throttle. There's nothing to stop the horses just spinning the rear wheels and sending you off into the dust, other than your own moderation of your right foot. So you just got to really be patient on how you drive these things. Overdrive them and it will bite you, as we've seen many times in just the, this being the second race with this car, and I suspect we'll see it quite a few more times before we hand this car back to the garage. Through the final turn they come. There is Chlebitz. He's very much got his eyes on the prize. He's getting very close to getting that gap, under 2 seconds now between himself and Blážek. So Chlebitz could actually steal the podium away. That's another thing that these two have got to bear in mind into turn 1. No, Blážek too far back this time. Plenty of action going on. That's Pichada and Liška. Liška second in class, second in the VGP2s. And Pichada is 6th in the VTP1s, then being followed by the Forza car of Kostelić. So Kostelić's got someone to overcome before he can have a battle for the next in class for him.
Yep, he does indeed, but yeah, some more incredible racing. I love watching these cars. You can see the back end just lightly stepping out on that Benzina. Just a bit of opposite lock, though. Sorted that out, no problems for Liška there, so looking very good. But yeah, it's always great watching them come down the hill, get onto the brakes into turn 1. If you watch very carefully, you can see just how on edge and nervous these cars are as they come into the braking zone for turn 1. I mean, they are right on the limit of adhesion. Just, a little bit harder braking, a little bit more speed, a little bit more wheel input, anything like that, and it just looks like the thing is gonna go. Again, it weighs practically nothing, has nearest makes no difference, 400 horsepower from a 2.5 liter engine, and this is a car that's almost 30 years old now, and it's got flames shooting out the back of it as well too. It's fantastic watching these guys wrestle with that as the Legion car gets very close to the back of the Acer car through that left-hander. And again, it looks like Polesny just has a very different line through that right-hander at turn 11. I noticed on a previous lap as well, he has a different line through this high-speed right-hander. You'll notice there, Blážek just turns in a little bit earlier. He's a little bit smoother through that right-hander, whereas Polesny seems to kind of jerk it all at once and just get the corner kind of over with, whereas Blážek is just very kind of fingertip movements of the wheel getting him through that high-speed right-hander. But we're looking at Liška and Lukáš Pichada once again. Lukáš doing his best to defend from the charging Benzina car. Again, that is not for position. However, if Liška wants to win this race for the VGP2 category, then he is going to need to make the overtake on Lukáš Pichada. And he's got Kostelić really closing up to the back of him now as well too. And that might be worrisome, even though again it's not for position. However, that could be an opportunity. If Kostelić is really that quick, then maybe he can open up the door for Lukáš Pichada to make that overtake on Kovacic, and then he can maybe start making some ground up towards Chlebitz. But nobody has been charging quite like Andrej Chlebitz in that Smarty car, as you said before, Chris, making his way up into 5th overall, and he's now less than 2 seconds behind the battle for 3rd, which is unbelievable, again, when you consider that he started outside the top 10. Incredible stuff. Oh, I was going to say incredible stuff between these two as well, too. The Legion car just getting within half a meter or so of the back of that Acer car. And of course, remember, Acer are leading the championship by a pretty comfortable margin. They are currently 3rd in both classes, VGP1 and VGP2. However, Benzina are also 2nd in both classes as well, too. So Benzina looking like they're going to be the big winners in the Constructors' Championship if things were to stay like this, Chris.
Absolutely so. And so a lot of work then for the Acer pair to do to try and maintain that lead. But still, Pichada challenging Kujela for 12th overall. They're more concentrating on their own positions at the moment. Forza and Thrustmaster in their own battle team-wise as well. Interesting, Pichada staying very, very close to the line of the track. Oh, Kujela way too deep. Way too deep in the Dunlopers. And that would be an unusual line if you were trying to maximize your exit. That was very risky. Pichada could easily have gone alongside him if he was a bit closer, but wasn't able to make that move. So he's gotten away with that one, has Kujela. Back up to Blážek and Polesny though. Acer fending off Legion. as they head up to complete another lap. 14 down, another 10.5 minutes of racing plus 1 lap to do. And Polesny has done a stunning job of fending off Blážek, but yet again, that gap from Blážek to Chlebec is continuing to be whittled down, lap on lap, corner by corner. That gap is disappearing. It's now under 1.5 seconds between Blážek and Chlebec. Now Blážek is going to have to break out that defensive prowess we've seen him do so many times over. There is the Smarty car. So yeah, Chlebec is going to be in a prime position to start attacking the Ligier car very, very soon. And that's exactly what Polesny is going to be wanting. He wants Blážek to be basically taken off his tail. I'm pretty sure Polesny is probably as fed up with Blážek being there as Blážek is fed up with being there as well. So out of the Mercedes arena they come, then there is Chlebec in the Smarty car. And look at the last laps, 3/10 to Chlebec's favour, and it's been like that for quite a while. I've been keeping an eye on that gap, and it's been dropping by roughly that kind of amount, bar the moment when Blážek and Polesny very briefly swapped round. They lost a considerable amount of time there, but it's been dropping by those few tenths every single lap. So Chlebec really poised to start an attack.
Yep, I think you're right about that. I think it is inevitable, and we know that Blážek is incredible at defending. So, yeah, this may really end up working into Polesny's favor because Blážek doesn't seem to be able to make the overtake on Polesny, or at least not without making it stick. And Blážek is very, very good at defending, so he might busy himself for the next 9 minutes plus 1 lap with just defending from Chlebec, and that'll give Polesny a bit of clear air. We're having a look at our championship leader and our current race leader as well, too. Michael Schmidl, who does have about a 7 or 8 seconds gap now down to the Benzino car of Martin Stefanko. And here comes the battle for 3rd position. It's actually looking equidistant between all of these guys, actually. I would say that Blážek's gap to Polesny is very similar to Blážek's gap to Chlebec, so it's really all evened up here. And I think getting heavy onto the curbs there through the final chicane. But yeah, I think Chlebec here is going to really start applying the pressure to the Lenovo Legion car very shortly here. It's not going to be too much more time before we see that happen. He seems to have some incredible pace, and remember, he only started as far down the grid as he did as a result of the penalty that he had. So his starting position in this race is not at all representative of the 1-lap pace, or indeed the race pace that he has around this circuit. So I think we very much could be on for a fantastic 3-way battle for 3rd here, or at very least a 2-way battle for 4th position. Because again, I think it is very possible that Blážek and Chlebec might end up busying themselves so much with 4th position that gives Polesny the opportunity to just kind of drive away, because Polesny can do that as well. The only reason I think really that Blážek is as close as he is just because he's had to go defensive a few times. There have been those moments. Having a look though at Pachada once again, that's David Pachada, and he's got the RPS car just behind him. That is Secra. That is not 4th position. They're VGP2 and VGP1 drivers respectively, so if he loses that spot, it's not going to lose him any sort of points or anything like that. However, he does have Kujela just ahead of him in the Forza car, and he would of course like to make that move, but no, actually, it looks like the RPS car. I don't know if that was Pachada letting him through or not. That seemed rather courteous, if you ask me, Chris. So, but maybe he's looking to use the RPS car to make that overtake on Kujela.
Possibly. It didn't look like there was an incident between the two, and they're in 2 different classes, so there's no gain for Secra and essentially no loss for Pachada. So, yeah, it could be David Pachada thinking tactically, sit in the slipstream of Secra. We will see, but back up to this battle for 3rd. Blážek is still doing his best to hang on to the back of that bright green Acer car. Chlebec then, exactly as you said before, these 3 cars are almost equidistant apart. Look at the last laps. So 2:11.9 for Blážek, 2:11.8 for Polesny, 2:11.6 for Stefanko, but he's a long way down the road, so he's not going to be caught in a hurry. And 2:11.7 for Chlebec. So again, gaining those another couple of tenths on Blážek ahead of him. So Blážek, you can equally imagine if he does get under the rear wing of the green Acer car, we've seen them battle already quite a lot this race, but they are running out of time. It is burning down, less than 6 minutes to go now, so they're going to have to make a move. It's going to have to be soon.
Yeah, without question. And the real scary thing for Blážek here is if he goes for an overtake on the Acer car and he makes any mistake at all or even if he just goes for a move that was never going to work, then Hlebets can easily just follow the Acer car. So imagine the Acer car defends the inside into a corner, Blazek goes to the outside to make the overtake, Smarty car tucks in behind the Acer car, Blazek can't hang it around the outside, and now all of a sudden he's got the Smarty car of Hlebets ahead of him as well too. So, I mean, this is a really, really tough situation for Blazek. He knows how quick Hlebets is because he's seen how he closed up to them as well too. And as much as they have done some battling that did allow Hlebets to close up, they've also had plenty of laps where they weren't holding each other up, and he's still caught up to them. Lishka going around the outside in the Benzina car, around the outside of Pachada. He'll get the inside line now through this right-hander, and that is an overtake on Lucas Pachada. Again, that is not for position, but it looks like Lucas is going to come back at him. He doesn't quite have the drive that he needs out of that right-hander in order to mount an attack into this hairpin. Is he going to try something up the inside? It doesn't look like it. The Benzina car laid enough onto the brakes to hold on to that position, but he runs very wide. That's going to give the Thrustmaster car an opportunity to come back at him, but now they're going to be side by side as they climb the hill towards the Schumacher S. Surely the Benzina car is going to come out in that one. Yeah, it's starting to go around the outside into the Schumacher S. Was never going to work for Lucas Pachada, so he does hold station. But again, another great exit coming out of the S section. But once more, he doesn't want to go side by side and decides thinks better of that. Maybe thinking about Kostulik behind. He doesn't want to lose too much time. Kostulik's just a couple of seconds away. It's about 2 minutes for a lap, about 4 minutes left. So we've got anywhere from 6 to 7 minutes or thereabouts still to go in this race. And you know, if you're Lucas Pachada, you don't want to throw everything away right at the end there just for a battle with somebody who's in a different division than you. That's not even for position, really. So I think that's the right call for him. Again, he does need to worry about Kostulik behind, but Kostulik has not been gaining sort of at the same rate that we've seen Hlebets gain at. Speaking of which, just looking at the gap at the top left, it's like, yeah, as we immediately switch over, as they get down into turn one, no one side by side in this battle, but I have to say, it's looking worse and worse for Blazek here. I mean, again, we know the kind of defensive driver that he can be, but Hlebets is a man on a mission here.
Absolutely. And yeah, Hlebets knows how good Blazek is at defending. These two have been driving against one another for quite a number of seasons now, as Lishka is still fending off Pachada. Oh, the Benzina car doing battle still with the Thrustmaster car. Pachada does not want to let him just get away with it, and as you mentioned earlier, that's why Kostulik is right there. But Lishka is, I think he's having to adapt his line to try and make a more defensive position. But he cannot break away from Pachada. Pachada wants that barrier between himself and Kostulik. And now Pachada trying Lishka's own move, coming into that left-hander. Can't quite get it done. Lishka just managing to shut the door in time. But what a great battle. It's such a shame, really, in a way. It's not for position. But in another way, there's not a lot of, well, there's less pressure on them to kind of, you know, if they make a mistake, it's, you know, they'll cost themselves time against those around them, but not an immediate position, although Kostulik is wanting to put that pressure on Pachada, as we previously mentioned. Oh, as one of them was a little bit too deep. Oh, here's Kajela. Whoa, that's one way to go into the Dunlop curve. I think you were a tad late on the brakes there, sir. And that is going to throw him into the clutches of Sikora in the RPS car. And then there's Pachada right behind him. So that's the exact battle we've just been talking about. As, Kajela, when you make a mistake, you need to kind of get back into the rhythm quickly, especially when you've got someone breathing down your neck. So he's got to get back into his rhythm pretty quickly. He's got a lot of company there. And there's that battle for the last podium spot then. Just over 1.5 minutes to go. The checkered flag will come out in 1.5 minutes. It depends where Smiddle is to dictate how many laps are left. But Hlebets already looking to put a move on Blazek. That's a very big statement of intent from the Smarty car. Having a look, or at least making the intention known. He's putting the pressure on Blazek. That's a very big, I'm not going to sit here and wait for you to do something. I'm going to be making a move. Be ready for it.
Yeah, that's a mental game, 100%. That's him saying, if you weren't already looking in your mirrors, now you need to be spending a lot more time looking at them, and that's exactly what Blazek is going to do. But again, we do know how good he can be at defending. We've seen him defend from really high-quality drivers on the same level as Chlebets as well. So certainly, I think if anyone can do it, Blazek is definitely up there. However, it's looking really, really good for Polesny now, because I have not seen Blazek really go for a move or even really get within a car length of the Acer car ever since Chlebets closed up to the back of that Lenovo Legion car. Oh, goodness me. And there he goes, proving me wrong. Goes for a bit of a dive bomb, but I think that's going to hurt him more than it's going to hurt Polesny. They're going to be side by side on the run into the Schumacher S. The Lenovo Legion car, though, will have the inside line and does hold on to that position. Whoever has the inside line into the Schumacher S is always going to hold on to that position under most circumstances. But again, the car that was behind gets the better drive out, but again, defending the inside line. But oh, it's not quite enough. Chlebets around the outside through the left-hander, and he's going to get the inside line through the right-hander, coming onto the straight as well, too. This is all great news for Polesny. The Lenovo Legion car has to duck into the slipstream as well. He's going to try and fight him back at the chicane now. He's about a car length behind him. Is it going to be enough between the two of them, though? Chlebets defends the inside line into the chicane, onto the brakes now, nearly into the grass for Michael Blazek. They're side by side through the chicane, the car up in the air, but Chlebets does hold on to that position, and I think that was firm but fair racing from the pair of them. I don't think any sort of penalties, no major issues or anything like that. I think Chlebets did what he needed to do to get through. Blazek did what he needed to do to try and defend the position, and it is indeed the final lap that we're on now, but what a battle for fourth position. And again, and as I think we both predicted this, Chris, this has really helped Polesny out. Look, but no, Blazek's coming back at him. A late dive bomb into turn one. He's got him. Actually, they're going to be side by side, but now there's two left-handers. Very difficult to go around the outside. He's going to try and cut back to the inside now. It's not quite worked out for him. Chlebets continues to hold on to the position. He's thinking about a lunge, but again, Chlebets holds on to it. He's going to have to let Chlebets go. Yeah, that was a tap from Blazek, and that, I think, Chris, is going to secure Polesny's top three finish. What a race.
Oh, absolutely. Well, unless he throws it off into the dust in the final corners, Blazek still not willing to let this one go. We've seen an outside maneuver here work, but he wasn't alongside enough. Chlebets smelled blood in the water down at the Dunlop curve last time around. That's where all this has started. It's still not resolved. Blazek, very courteously letting Chlebets continue in that fourth position after that one tap. So Chlebets, as that brilliant maneuver he did at the right time, and then side by side all the way up here and forcing the move again on Blazek, is just going to show, we've said this earlier in the season, just how much improved Chlebets really is in that Smarty car. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So half a lap left to do between these two. Who is going to blink first? Chlebets has certainly got the pace, but can he just fend off Blazek for the last three remaining laps? Just as a reminder, that's the man that's having a bit of rallycross out there, just enjoying the last few laps. Oh, throw it in. Go on, give it some welly. Get the tail out, and you cannot blame him. Perfectly executed. Your winner here in the home country of the car you're looking at is, of course, the Predator car of Michael Smittle.
Unbelievable. Oh, and this is far from resolved. Oh, no. And actually, Blazek has hit the barrier. Chlebets is going to... We've unfortunately missed what was leading up to that very moment, but it seems there might be some issues between the two of them. Again, we don't know what happened there, but it does look like Chlebets is going to be the first to cross the line. Speaking of getting the back end out, Blazek as well getting a bit of a drift on through that. It is very driftable, that final corner, isn't it? It just wants to be drifted, but Kovacic is going to come home for the win in VGP2. A fantastic drive for him as well. 10 seconds ahead of Lishka in the Benzina car, but it is two Benzinas on the podium, VGP1 and VGP2, so shout out to Stefanko and Lishka. So that is an unbelievable haul of points for the Benzina team. It's not quite worked out quite as well for Acer, who finished in third for both VGP1 and VGP2, so they'll be taking home a little bit less points compared to Benzina. I think they'll still be in the lead of the championship after all of that, but Benzina will close in a little bit. Kujela in the Forza car crossing the line now. Thomas Prohaska, he had an absolutely eventful race as well. He's going to make his way around the final corner and across the line, but wow, what a race here, Chris.
Once again, these beautiful 198s giving us an incredibly memorable race. Not that the other cars don't, but it's been an amazing debut for this car in the VGP series. Our drivers once again not disappointing us as the last few drivers come over the line to finish the race.
So here is your podium. It is Michael Schmidl who picks up another win ahead of Martin Stefanko, his nearest rival in the championship, with Wojtek Polesny a well-deserved third-place finish, defending from Blazek that entire time. Unbelievable. Hlebets does indeed finish ahead, so no penalties or anything like that given out. It looks like it just was a racing incident. Martin Kostulik finishing in 6th position. I'm sure he would have liked to have been a little bit higher up. Lucas Pichata, though, a good result in 7th. Sikora, Frabish, and Prohaska rounding out the points finishers for VGP1. Looking at the standings in VGP1, it is now a 15-point gap between Michael Schmidl and Martin Stefanko. Another 6 points down to Polesny in the Acer car. And then a big 22-point gap down to Michael Blazek. So 21 points between Schmidl and Polesny. It really seems to be a 3-horse race at this stage for the VGP1 Driver Championship anyway. Having a look at VGP2, it is Simon Kovacic that picked up the win by just over 9 seconds down to Peter Lischka. Again, a fantastic result today for Benzina. Pavel Reigl completes a racer podium for both VGP1 and VGP2, so they can be happy about that as well too. Yaroslav Prohaska in the RPS car coming home in 4th position. Looking at the standings, it is Kovacic that continues to lead the way with a 24-point gap down to Kujela in the Forza car. It's just 2 points between Kujela and Prohaska, Yaroslav Prohaska, and then just another 5 points down to Pavel Reigl. David Pichata not that far off either. Looking at the team standings, Acer continue to lead the way, but it is now by only an 18-point gap down to Benzina, who are just 3 points ahead of Logitech, who are just 4 points ahead of Predator, who are just 5 points ahead of RPS. That is the top 5 in the team standings. So a great day out there. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks to the entire Virtual GP staff and Chris Buxton. I've been Justin Sutton. I'll see you next time. Thanks and goodbye.